You're listening to the Power Agent Blogcast, empowering agents to elevate their business to the next level.
Challenges are just a guide, leading you, don't run and hide. You've got the heart, you've got the drive, feel it pound, you're alive. Power Agent.
Welcome to the Power Agent Blogcast. We're diving into, I guess you could say, a real hot topic for anyone running a brokerage. How to build a team of absolute rock star agents.
It's the dream, right? Not just attracting talent, but keeping those high performers engaged and loyal for the long haul.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about luck or throwing money at the problem. There are actual strategies involved. We've been looking at a 9-step approach that really breaks down the process of building a high-performing and loyal team.
And I think what's important to emphasize here is that it's not about picking and choosing one or two of these steps. It's about seeing them as pieces of a larger puzzle.
Like a holistic approach, right? You need all the pieces to fit together.
Exactly.
So let's start with that foundation, company culture. We hear a lot about building a magnetic company culture, but what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, open communication is key. It's not enough to just have an open door policy. You have to actively encourage feedback, both positive and negative.
So regular team meetings, maybe some sort of suggestion box, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And also, celebrating successes. When someone does something great, shout it from the rooftops.
A little public recognition can go a long way, for sure.
Absolutely. And don't forget about professional development. Providing opportunities for agents to learn and grow is crucial.
That makes sense. If agents feel like they're stagnating, they're more likely to look elsewhere.
Right. So invest in training programs, workshops, maybe even offer to help with certifications.
It shows you're invested in their future, not just their current production.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got a solid company culture. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Compensation. What makes a compensation package truly stand out?
Well, obviously you need a competitive commission split. That's a given.
Right, you got to stay competitive in that department.
But it goes beyond that. Think about performance bonuses.
Like incentives for hitting certain targets.
Yeah, exactly. And consider offering flexibility in commission structures, maybe different tiers based on volume or experience.
So tailoring it to the individual agent's needs.
Right. And benefits are huge.
Things like health insurance, retirement plans, all that.
Exactly. Those are things that show you care about your agent's well-being, not just their bottom line.
They're looking for stability and security, not just a quick buck.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got a great culture and a killer compensation package. But how do we figure out what each individual agent really wants and needs? Because everyone's different, right?
You got it. This is where personalized approaches come into play. One-on-one meetings, regular check-ins, even anonymous surveys can be helpful.
So, like actually asking them what they want instead of just assuming.
Exactly. Some people are motivated by money, others by recognition, others by flexibility.
Some might want more training, others might want more independence.
Exactly. The key is to figure out what makes each individual tick, and then tailor your approach accordingly.
So, it's about listening and then actually implementing what you hear. All right, so we've got a happy and well-compensated team. Now let's talk about attracting new talent. How can brokerages really shake things up when it comes to recruiting?
Well, job boards are still a thing, but you got to think outside the box. Social media is your friend.
Yeah, showcasing your company culture, highlighting agent successes, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And targeted digital ads can be really effective.
Reaching the right people with the right message.
Right. And don't be afraid to embrace new technologies like AI-powered chatbots for instant responses to inquiries.
Oh, interesting. So like automating some of that initial communication.
Exactly. And data analytics can play a huge role. Tracking which recruitment methods are working, identifying trends, all that.
So you can constantly refine and improve your strategy.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say we've got all these great agents coming in. How do we show them that there's a path for growth within the company?
Well, having a clearly defined career roadmap is crucial.
So agents can see exactly what steps they need to take to move up the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. And mentorship programs can be really valuable, pairing experienced agents with newer ones.
So they can learn from the best.
Right. And regular performance reviews, not just to assess current performance, but to discuss future goals and how to achieve them.
And celebrating those achievements publicly, right?
Absolutely. Showing people that you value their growth and that there are real opportunities for advancement within the company.
It's about creating a culture of ambition and achievement.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about work-life balance. It's a huge concern for a lot of people these days.
Mhm.
What are some ways brokerages can support their agents in this area?
Flexibility is key. Offering flexible scheduling options, remote work opportunities where feasible.
Letting people work when and where they're most productive.
Right. And incorporating wellness initiatives into the company culture. Things like subsidized gym memberships, mindfulness workshops, even just encouraging people to take breaks.
Showing that you care about their overall well-being, not just their production numbers.
Exactly. When people feel supported, they're less likely to burn out and more likely to be happy and productive in the long run.
And more likely to stick around.
Right.
All right, so now let's talk about reputation. How can a brokerage build and maintain a positive image in the industry?
Transparency is crucial. Being honest in all your dealings, delivering on your promises, upholding high ethical standards.
So basically walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Right. And actively sharing your successes, company achievements, agent wins, all that good stuff.
Getting the word out there about all the great things you're doing.
Exactly. And encourage testimonials from satisfied clients and agents.
Word-of-mouth marketing is powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to engage in online conversations. Address concerns head on, be responsive, be professional.
It's about building trust and showing that you're a reputable and reliable company. Okay, so we've got a great reputation. Now, how do we clearly communicate what makes our brokerage unique and desirable? In other words, how do we build a compelling value proposition?
Well, first you have to identify what truly sets you apart. What are your unique strengths? Is it your technology platform, your marketing expertise, your training program, your company culture?
Figure out what makes you special, what you bring to the table that no one else does.
Right. And then clearly articulate the benefits of those strengths. Don't just list features, explain how those features will help agents succeed.
So, instead of just saying we have a CRM, explain how that CRM will streamline their business and help them close more deals.
Exactly. And consistently communicate these benefits across all your marketing materials and conversations.
Make sure your message is clear and consistent so potential agents understand what you're all about.
Exactly.
All right, finally, let's talk about professional development. Why is it so important to prioritize ongoing learning opportunities for agents?
Because the real estate industry is constantly changing. New technologies, new regulations, new market trends. It's a fast-paced environment.
You got to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So providing access to workshops, certifications, personalized coaching, all that stuff, it shows agents that you're invested in their growth.
You're not just throwing them in the deep end and saying sink or swim.
Right. You're giving them the tools and resources they need to succeed.
And that makes them more likely to be happy, productive, and loyal.
Exactly.
So looking at all these 9 steps, it's clear that attracting and retaining top talent in real estate isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. It's a multifaceted approach that requires a lot of thought and effort.
It is. But it's worth it. When you create an environment where agents feel valued, supported, and empowered, you're not just building a team, you're building a community.
A community of successful and fulfilled real estate professionals.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully you've picked up some valuable insights into what it takes to build a high-performing and loyal real estate team.
And remember, it's not about doing everything perfectly right out of the gate. It's about continuous improvement, always striving to create a better experience for your agents.
So take some time to reflect on what we've discussed today. Maybe there's 1 or 2 areas where you can make some immediate changes that will have a positive impact on your team. And if you're looking for more in-depth guidance on any of these topics, be sure to check out the show notes for some helpful resources.
And most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment. What works for one brokerage might not work for another. So find what works best for you and your team and go for it.
Thanks for listening to the Power Agent Blogcast. We'll see you next time.